Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tiny Blue Games. My name, of course, is Seesaw or Chris, and today we're talking about Final Fantasy XIV in 2019. Now, this is episode 2 of our series. If you haven't watched episode 1, it'll be in the description below or the playlist to the side, or you can just go to my channel and find it. You really don't need to watch it. It's just me kind of going through the character creation process. I play two different classes, the Lancer and the Archer, and I just sort of compare the two because I knew I wanted to make a DPS first, and I kind of wanted to see if I preferred the ranged versus the melee class or not. And I've decided to continue along with the Archer class in this video. And the main reason I've decided to do that actually is because the Archer class is a class I'm very familiar with. I play a lot of archers in different MMOs, but specifically World of Warcraft. And at low levels, this class seems to feel very similar to that class. Now, I have no idea, obviously, how it's going to change as I continue to level. But at the moment, it feels very familiar. And I think it's a very important thing to play a familiar class when you're starting a new MMO, because it allows you to really judge the other parts of the game, the other systems, the other different elements of the game for what they are. Because if you choose a class that you love or you choose a class that you hate, it's very easy to become polarized of how the game plays. And if you have a very bad first impression, you might not take the time to try a different class and see what the other classes are like. I do fully intend to play the other classes and level them up. This is just the first one that I want to take to a higher level. I should also, I guess, mention that in these videos at the moment, I'm just playing the free trial. So everything you see on screen, you can download and try out for free. I think it goes to level 35. Not that I've gotten there yet, but that's the goal. Which is really nice, actually, compared to a lot of trials that are just the sort of 7 days or 3 days or whatever. I think the level cap trial is a lot better because it allows you to do things in a more relaxed manner. It allows you to try different classes, try different pieces of content. And let's be honest, if it's a 7-day trial, pretty much every time I do it, I'm busy like the next 6 days after I sign up. It's just how life works, right? So having a trial like this is really great. For myself, it's great for this series as I'm able to try different elements of the game and really explore all it has before I decide to move forward with it. And, you know, if you're interested in the game, I highly suggest you give it a try as well, because as much as videos are great, there's only so much it can show you until you actually get in the game and feel what it's like to move around, what it's like to play the game. So give it a try. As I mentioned in this video, we're doing a Archer class, range DPS. We're probably going to try some other classes as well. I am interested in the Lancer class because it is kind of a more unique class to this game, and I'm very excited to see how that plays. But I'm also excited to see what healing and tanking roles look like in this game, because as fun as DPS is, when you come to dungeons and later on raids or whatever, healing and tanking feels very specific to the game. And as someone who likes to play those roles from time to time, I definitely need to know how that feels as well. But yeah, so in this video, we're just continuing to do some main scenario quests, I think they're called, main story quests. It's up in the top left, and it's kind of the main story-driven quests. They tend to give the most experience and progress your character the most, as far as I can see. I also believe from things I've read that you need to complete a certain amount of the chain to unlock different parts of your class to continue forward. So I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure someone who's more experienced with Final Fantasy XIV can tell you if that's true or not, but at the moment, it's one of the best ways to level, and it's really good for guiding you through the game. So I'm like, hey, why not give it a go? One of the things I particularly like about Final Fantasy XIV is that they section off the main story quest to the top left and then have all the other quests and your quest log to the right side with a little bit more description about the main story quest in there as well. I find in a lot of games I've played, it's particularly difficult to find out what quests you need to pay attention to, what quests are just side quests, what quests give good XP, what quests give poor rewards. This makes it really simple. It's like, hey, this is your number one quest. Hey, these are other quests that you can do. And you'll find different points where it's like you need to reach a certain level to continue the story quests. You need to gear a certain amount to continue. There was one, I think, recently that I had to get level 5 equipment in each slot to be able to do the next quest. So I went and did a few other quests. I went and purchased a few things from the vendor, and I was good to go. So it's a really fun system. And I think it's one, I prefer it actually more than I do Guild Wars 2 and World of Warcraft, that in their own respective ways have a system like this, but I think this one is just very clear. As a new player who just started the game, I'm able to understand it. Whereas more a veteran player of those other two games, I still sometimes get confused about what quest I should be working on. For WoW particularly, it makes me think of the war campaign versus the continuing sort of weekly story quests, continuing like zone quests. Like, it gets pretty confusing sometimes. So I think this is a really nice system. Other things we're going to talk about in this video is the actual trait system. I've started to get a few more skills, which are, I think, just called abilities. And they kind of pop up onto your bar. You can go through and check what level you get them at. And I recently got a damage over time effect, as well as I have 2 different buffs on my archer. So already it feels like a class that's pretty fun, where I can go and do either direct damage, or I can go and do some dot damage and buff myself up while I kite around. So it does have a lot of versatility in that sense, which I do appreciate. A lot of classes in other games, it's like, this is what your class does, and that's it. So I do enjoy that. The traits also look really cool. I haven't quite gotten to those yet, but I see that there's class traits, role traits, a section called pets. I'm not sure if the game has sort of a talent tree system where you can choose the different sort of talent tree that you're going to follow down, or if it's more like everyone of this class gets the same one, but you just get it at different levels. So I haven't fully explored and understood that, but I expect that to be something that I kind of gain more knowledge of in the future videos. So if you are a new player, I would keep watching and we'll learn that together. Or, as I say, make an account, try the free trial yourself. It's super fun. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the fate system. So in the last video, I had talked about a open world kind of event that took place around me, and I wasn't really sure what to call them. They're called fates. Someone in the last video let me know that. Thank you to that person. I always forget their name, but I should probably go back and add it to the video. So if I'm kind, I'll do that. If I'm not kind, you know who you are. You've touched my soul. But they're called fates. They're all over the map. You can kind of see little circles where they are and sort of the level of them. And as far as I understand, that person also explained that you can get leveled down to that content, but you cannot get leveled up to it. So you have to kind of wait to be around that level bracket, or if you're a higher level player, I guess you could probably party with a friend and do some lower level stuff to help them grind out a little bit. They seem to be pretty good experience, but particularly, actually, they were pretty good money. I was looking to get, and I forget the name of the currency in this game. Let's just call them gold coins for the sake of it. I was trying to get some gold to get some level 5 equipment in all my slots, and I didn't have quite enough gold, so what I did is I did a few fates to get enough gold, and then I just went and bought them from the vendor, and that was actually one of the easiest ways for me to get what I needed to get equipped. It was a pretty easy thing to do, and they're all over this map that I'm in. Like, there's at least 5 or 6 of them in each sort of area of the map, and it makes it really, really easy to kind of pick and choose what you do. It's particularly beneficial if you do that and also have a actual quest that you're doing in the same area, because that allows you to kind of double up on the rewards, and you feel like you're accomplishing quite a bit just by killing a certain type of monster. So that's really cool. The other thing I wanted to talk about is the telegraphs in this game. Enemies, and I mean maybe players, like characters as well, I haven't seen a telegraph on my archery yet, but certainly the enemies have these really defined telegraphs that show where they're going to attack, and they show how the skill's charging up and where it's going to go. And if you've ever played WildStar, which was a pretty big game for me and a pretty big game for this channel, really, WildStar was all about the telegraphs. Now, that was an action combat game. This is a tab targeting game, but in terms of the enemies, they're action combat, right? Like they just do damage in a certain area. And I find it extremely clear and easy to read in this game, which is such a nice thing. Because World of Warcraft, for all the polish and all the good parts of the game, I find, especially in raids and dungeons, I'm sometimes very confused by what's a good place to stand and what's a bad place to stand. And this is almost something that's become worse with time, whereas back in, I played back in Wrath, it was often fire or poison that you would stand in, and it was really obvious to me when it was bad. And it might just be that I was using more add-ons back then that would kind of tell me, don't stand there, do stand there. And maybe I've become too reliant on add-ons like that. But certainly in this game, I'm like, hey, that looks like a bad place to stand. It's a very clearly defined area. Let's dodge out of it. So I do very much enjoy how they do the telegraphs. And I am excited to see if they have any telegraphs for friendly people that are fighting. It's probably more of a, you know what? There might have actually been one on my Lancer now that I think of it. I'm not sure though. It is probably more of a close range combat thing that you would have, or a tank that would have these closer ranged abilities. But yeah, so all in all, I've really been enjoying the Archer. I look forward to leveling it up. In the next few episodes, you'll see me push this character to level 35 and do some hopefully dungeon content and maybe some PvP content. I'm not sure if you get to do that before 35 or not, but I do intend to find out. So stick around. Otherwise, on the channel, we have some more MapleStory content coming. Episode 3 and Episode 4 are in the works and should be hopefully done pretty soon, but I don't like to rush with anything. I like to enjoy whatever game I'm playing. I also know in MapleStory that they have the and I'll probably do another character that is a burning character to go along with my assassin. So I might ask you guys for some input on what kind of character I should try out, but that'll be a whole nother video or post or something, so stay tuned. Until then, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night or morning or whatever time of day it is. Thank you.